All right. What's up? It's Billy Carson, aka Forbidden Knowledge, and I have my very good friend Gven Sariol. What's going on, Gven?
What's up, my man? How you doing? Excited for a new one.
Oh yeah, here we go. Another conscious finance podcast. Let's do it, man. So, what's the topic for tonight?
So, the topic for tonight is actually, hold on. Before we talk about the topic, we need you all to hit that like button, share this. Because there's some crazy stuff going on in the United States, all right? For some people, and Billy, you and I are going to talk about this, right? Perception is everything. Mm-hmm. For some people, it's the worst time in history in the United States.
Yeah.
And for other people, it's the best time, for the United States.
Right.
And so this is going to be a spicy one because it's something that I personally have done. For a lot of you guys know that I've been doing crypto education for a really, really long time, but I've also been working on my location freedom. I've lived in, I want to say 6 or 7 different countries in the last 5 years. And so tonight I want to talk about what my experience has been and then what people's plan B is. A lot of people don't have a plan B when it comes to where they live, right? Billy, and coincidentally, it's funny because like the two coasts, there's 2 states on 2 different coasts, right? We got California on the West Coast and we got Florida on the East Coast, right? And they're both booming economies, but they couldn't be further from the same, right?
Yeah.
So like, a lot of people who are not aligned with like more of the liberal policies and high taxes and all that stuff, they're more prone to move to a place like Florida, Texas, these places, right?
Yeah.
Billy, why is it that you could live anywhere in the United States, really? Why do you live in Florida?
Well, I live in Florida. A couple reasons. The first reason is the sunshine. So they call it the Sunshine State for a reason. I need a lot of sun so I can keep this glorious tan that I have going on. I love the sun, man. I love the sun. And I just love being in the sun. I love absorbing the sun, walking in the sun, spending countless hours in the sun. That's one. But the second reason is this state doesn't have state taxes. So there's a savings there when you earn money, no state taxes. And then Florida is almost considered like its own separate country. It's kind of like Texas. They kind of just, swing to the beat of their own drum. And so I feel like there's a lot of great opportunity here. I remember when the global pandemic hit, we shut down for about a week and everyone was like, even the governor was like, nah, keep the party jumping. Turn this water into wine. And then the whole world came to Florida to hang out, and a lot of the news reporters that were wearing masks on, talking about the Jabberwocky on the news, they were all hanging out in Florida with no mask and having a good time, and they were getting busted by camera. But it's just like, there's quite a few things here. The sunshine, definitely the way that they perceive the laws and feel like they control their own destiny here, like I said before, and also no state taxes, so. Yeah, nice. Easy. Also, one last thing, easy to get from here to almost anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's a big hub. It's a big hub. You can go to Spain, you can go to Europe, you can go to Latin America. Yeah. It's very, very simple to get from, point A to point B and a lot of people don't know this, but Florida is the largest country of Latin America. Just kidding. Like I live in Latin America. I live in Panama. And so like we always joke around because there's so many Latinos in Florida. It's like a melting pot. And I was actually born there. My parents are both Cuban. And we moved to California. So I actually have both. And before I left the States, I was living in Miami, Miami, Florida. Yeah, I was living in Coral Gables.
Oh, Coral Gables, yeah.
Yeah, you know Coral Gables.
Down by the University of Miami.
Yeah, that it's like the Beverly Hills of Miami, right? Yep. So, but what I've done is I've actually taken it a step further. Okay. And, I got a phone call yesterday from a guy in California. And look, here's kind of the reality of the fact. And most people, we're going to get a little controversial here today. Billy, are you cool with the little controversy today?
Yeah, man. Let's give it to him. Hey, we got the account back. We got to be a little delicate. We can't say anything too crazy because but other than that, we can get out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're not going to talk about.
You already know we were suspended for 2 weeks.
We're not going to go that hardcore.
They don't want us talking too much information here.
Yeah. So like in California, there's a lot of illegals. And even some legals that are getting picked up and being shipped back, and predominantly in Latin America. Mm-hmm. And it's really sad. Like yesterday I was on X, and I forget the name of the guy, but I'll come back to him. But I when I was in Florida, I managed a law firm where we actually represented a lot of injured workers who were coincidentally predominantly Mexican, mm-hmm. and they were undocumented. A lot of them, not all of them, mm-hmm. but a lot of them. Right. Mm-hmm. And hardworking people, people that paid their taxes. Mm-hmm. They believe it or not, a lot of people think that illegals don't pay their taxes. A lot of them do pay their taxes, and they don't have, the refunds coming back at the end of the day or any of that. They get laid away with their taxes. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them don't get, access to a lot of the amenities that Americans have. But nonetheless, I was talking to a guy yesterday who I used to work with, and he used to refer us cases, and he did income tax. And he said, Gven, I've never seen this in my entire life. I've been doing this for 30 some years. I've known him since I was born. Okay. This guy, he's 75 years old. And he says, I had half the people show up this year to file taxes. And the other half are just horrified right now. Wow. And, my family grew up, my parents, they were born in communist Cuba, right? My dad was born in 1950 and my mom was born in 1960, which was right after the revolution. And so they saw kind of this very, very tyrannical communist come in and take people's rights away and their guns away and all this stuff. And then next thing they know, they were refugees, and they ended up leaving Cuba. My mom's family, they had their own airstrip in Cuba. Wow. And it was he was that rich. All right. Yeah. He had a huge property and built a huge business. Anyways, long and the short of it, I mean, this was what this guy was saying, and he was coincidentally Cuban, and he's just like, man, I'm horrified. He goes, this feels like when I was a kid. And so, but on the flip side, I know, and this is where I'm like kind of balanced about it. Like I was just in Dubai last year. They have a very tight immigration program in Dubai. They have a, like you got to get a visa before you come in. It's very easy, and that's like lower workers to all the higher workers, right? Because they know they need the higher workers and the lower workers in Dubai, right? The people are going to build the buildings. The people are going to bust the tables, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But if you lose your job within, I think it's like something like 60 or 90 days, they will come round you up and take your ass back to Pakistan or India or wherever you're from. Even the higher guys, like if you're German and you're a salesperson over there and you lose your job, they'll come and pick you up even. Unless you have like a golden visa or something like that, right? Yeah. So And it works. And Dubai, have you been to Dubai?
Oh yeah, beautiful place.
Yeah, Dubai is beautiful. It's clean. It's safe. You can leave your key on top of a Mercedes. What are those? The AMGs.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to
no
take your
crime.
car.
No, there's no crime. Zero crime there.
There's zero crime, right? Yeah. And so, like, I in my travels, I kind of take a look at things like that. And then I used to live. I know somebody here lives in Denver. I saw in the chat. I used to live in Denver, and man, there was times where I was afraid for my life. Like there was a time where I was living in the city and the homeless came and they surrounded the entire block in the building that I was sitting in. And I was like, I went out, they were going to the bathroom on the streets.
Oh no.
There was needles.
Oh man.
There was alcohol. These people were having sex in their tents. And I'm sitting here going like, man, this is not what I want to partake in.
Yeah.
So, Billy, give me your take though. Like, I'm sure you have your stance. Like, immigration is kind of a delicate situation. It's not the easiest in the United States, right? And it, depending who you are, it could be really good or it could be really bad.
Yeah, I think it needs to be revamped. The system is outdated. It's a very old system that exists. I firmly do believe that these invisible lines that men have created, in some way, they need to be guarded, but also in some way they need to be open. So what I'm saying is there are people that have come here to this country that have created great lives for themselves and built a family and contributed to society, contributed to this society in a great way. I just think there needs to be some type of a vetting process put in place. Of course, we want to make sure that the people coming in didn't just escape from prison or didn't just brutally, unalive some people where they came from. But watch my words now so they don't delete my thing here. So they unalive some people, and so those people definitely need to be kept out by all means necessary. They need to be kept out of every country. Wherever they're trying to go to, they need to be kept out and blocked from getting in. So there needs to be some type of a psychological battery, some type of a background check or research done to people. I know it would make the waiting list very long in the beginning, but I just think that by doing that, you can still let people come here and contribute to this society and build a life. A lot of the jobs they have, most people here don't want to take anyway. So I don't believe in that they're taking any jobs away from anybody.
No.
I just believe that there's people who just deserve a second chance and they deserve the right to be here if they can qualify based on, things like not being some type of a convicted felon that just escaped and unalived 18 people 2 weeks ago for the cartel. But so I think if we can do that, it would be okay to have people come in and be a part of this society. And I don't believe in the overcrowding theory that the country is overcrowded. It's only crowded along coastlines.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the water is, right? Yeah. But when you really analyze the majority of the country, there's a lot of open spaces. Even in Colorado, when I go to Colorado, I see acres upon acres upon acres of untouched land. I've seen acres of untouched land in Ohio. I've seen acres of untouched land in Georgia. So there's lots of land. It's just that the places around the coastlines and ports are where people tend to congregate or are kind of pushed towards. But there's so much availability here for housing and lodging, and it's just really incredible. We haven't even barely tapped into the resources to allow expansion in this country. And with the right building techniques and with the right type of construction tactics and engineering, we can build mega cities that can house millions and millions of people. However, the problem is what I'm talking about is a utopia, and that's going to take a long time. And so since that's going to take a long time to happen, and because of all the bureaucracy that's involved with that, there are other alternatives. And so those alternatives lead me to thinking sometimes it might be better to look in other places. I'm looking into dual citizenship now. I'm going to look to dual citizenship maybe in Ghana, maybe even in Panama. I'm coming to see you in a couple of weeks. I'm going to, open up a company in Panama for tax purposes. So There's a couple other places I've been looking at as well, just to be able to move around and have backup locations while this whole bureaucracy here tries to figure out what it's going to do. I want to be able to move around the world and settle in places. And if I need to stay there for 6 months, 7 months, a year, or whatever, I'd like to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, that's without a doubt, having that plan B is always a really, really good thing. And let me tell you, so like, one of I've lived in, like I said, about 6 or 7 countries in the last 5 years. And one of the countries that I lived in was the country of Georgia, not the state, the country. So former USSR, right? And it is so beautiful. And by the way, for those of you who live in California, it's Mediterranean weather. So it's exactly like California. It's right on the part of it is on the Black Sea. If you go inland, their capital city is called Tbilisi. Have you ever been to Georgia, Billy?
No, haven't been there.
Oh, amazing. Castles everywhere. I was supposed
to go in 2022 when the earthquakes came to Turkey. I was going to go from Turkey there and then come back. But the earthquake stopped me from getting to Turkey, so I never made it.
Oh, no way. Yeah. Georgian blackberry juice or wine. Like I don't really drink, but when I go to Georgia, I drink because they have like this, it's called semi-sweet wine. It's barely does anything to you, but it's amazing. It's like such a good, anyways, they're known for their wine, right? And their food and their cost of living is next to nothing. Like Billy, for $4,000 a month, I'm talking, I had an apartment that looked like something out of an Ethan Allen catalog.
Wow.
I had a view of a huge cathedral. I'll show you when you come over here. A huge cathedral right out of my window. It like framed the cathedral perfectly. The biggest cathedral in all of Georgia. A castle on one side. The Georgian parliament here. I mean, it was incredible for $4,000. And by the way, it's not like I was sitting in there and, okay, we got to go to the market and cook for ourselves for this. That was, we ate breakfast and we usually would go eat a light lunch, and then dinner. I'm not talking about just a little piece of meat or some fruits, vegetables. I'm talking about a 3-course meal.
Wow.
My wife and I would walk out full. I got so fat while I was there, but a 3-course meal for $50 with a bottle of wine. This is why I started drinking, because I'm like, man, the wine's so cheap. I'm just going to drink it, right? So like a lot of people think, and by the way, in terms of safety, it's rated, I think, like the number 5th or 6th safest country in the world compared to the United States right now. The United States, I think, is like at, I think it's like 79th out of 130 or 139 countries or something like that. Yeah. So it was beautiful. The only problem was it's on the other freaking side of the world. It's a 12-hour difference. So like for us, where our audience and clients and customers are here on this time zone, it was brutal. And I was flying back every 30 to 45 days. And that was a 24-hour to 40-hour flight, depending on what I could catch, Yeah. But there's so many beautiful places in the world that people just don't understand, like, and safe, even here in the country of Panama, I think it's rated like number 60. And it's all the places we're in, we're safe. It's beautiful. They have to clean some things up. I'm not going to lie. Everywhere has its trade-offs, right? Yeah. But for the most part, they're working on it, which is really cool. They're working on it. And it's the most progressive country out of Latin America, which is really cool. And Latin America is huge. You're talking about all the way down to Chile, Argentina, all the way up to Mexico. Yeah. It's massive. And then the Caribbean as well is considered Latin America. So I know you're coming. Yeah. I know you're coming. And I think that there's some opportunity for people to have a plan B. Even if you're not considering, like, right now I'm going to move out of the country, you can start planning like, oh man, you know, I see this guy, Ari, thanks to MAGA, you're going to be alone again. Go Trump, go Trump. It's like, okay, worship your demigod, right? Look, here's the thing, guys. You could be MAGA today, right? And then tomorrow, the pendulum swings super hardcore to the other side, even if you're right wing. And now now the other people have a problem. This is why I don't get into, like, I'm not a Republican or a Republican. I'm just kind of me. And I make decisions on the issues, right? So this is kind of what we're starting to do. And Billy, I know you want to be a part of this, is like helping people establish their plan B, right? And you're talking about it now. This is actually the first I've heard about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got a plan A, B, C, and D. I mean, you know, I mean, literally, like I really do. So, but absolutely, definitely. I think everyone needs to be able to have different options. And I'm not talking about just because of geopolitical situations. I'm talking about catastrophes. I mean, let me show, you know, you guys may not know that I built an underground city. You think what they built at the pyramids was nice? Let me show these people something. Let me pull up my screen and hold on a second, Gven. Let me open up my my account here for Fort Terra Nova and show you guys something here. When I tell you I have a plan B and C, share screen, I'm not joking.
Yeah, while you're pulling that out, this guy says here, Adaman, Mr. Carson said it like right wing, left wing, same bird.
That's right. You got that right. Okay, so you guys can see this is one of my Instagram accounts, one of many, Fort Terra Nova. It's a very old account. You can see I'm on this TV show here, link in bio. It says historychannel.com, Countdown to Apocalypse, Season 1, Episode 3. That's my first time ever being on mainstream TV, by the way, Gven.
Oh, wow.
That was back in 2012, I believe it was. And it's for this project that I was working on and completed called Fort Terra Nova. You can see here, this is the old-fashioned TV guide, you know?
Oh, wow.
And I screenshotted that the show was airing. And these are the underground shelters inside of my underground dome. So I built an underground dome structure, and it's townhouse style living underground. It can hold 360 people. You can see me here. This is actually a photograph from the TV show. You can see the H2 logo, the History Channel logo in the upper right corner. You can see the layout of the blueprint for my underground structure there. And it's always lit. It's very well lit, so it's always daylight inside. And in the evenings, we'll turn the lights down or dim them, but you get a daylight effect in there. And here's part of the construction process. So we're talking about real engineering here.
Wow.
You know, real engineering, guys. This is some real stuff. Hydroponics lab, the hydroponics pool with tilapia in it. It creates an entire ecosystem that feeds itself. The waste from the fish feeds the plants. It's a complete life cycle, you know. So we have that. We have exercise, fitness, basketball court, martial arts instructor, teachers. I mean, dentists, doctors, you name it. Turbine, diesel engine mechanics. We have all of that in there. All of that.
Wow.
You know, that's what's you know. So it's a big project. So when I tell people I have a plan A, B, C, and D, I'm not playing no games. This is on TV. This is I say this is a real deal. It can hold 360 people, and we can be off the grid underground, 50 feet below for a year straight without ever having to come back up.
Wow.
And we even have front load tractors in there. We have a lot of stuff going on in there. So let me just unshare this thing here. Hold on, is this here? Yeah. All right. So yeah, we have a lot going on down there. We have cars down there with points in them. You know, the old point system, not electronic starters, no electronic ignitions. Because if there's an EMP, all the cars that we have today, they'll never turn on again. They'll be dead forever. It'll be a vehicle junkyard all over the entire graveyard, vehicle graveyard all over the world. We have vehicles down there that have points. So we'll be able to start those cars, turn them on, be able to start the tractors, turn them on. We have a seed bank so that we can plant. We're underneath 100 acres. So on top, we can actually plant a whole farm. We can grow our own crops and everything else. It's radiation proof, argon gas proof. I mean, I can get the list of things goes on and on and on, but it's an amazing shelter. But again, it's in a location that won't allow for ash flow from the so the Yellowstone National Park is actually a giant caldera. And that caldera is overdue for a new eruption. It's a supermassive caldera. And when it erupts again, and it will, the ash flow will cover almost the entire United States. Matter of fact, the ash flow stops about 100 miles away from where I have the location of this underground shelter. And so for the people who have been building bases and underground shelters anywhere other than where I picked, their cave can be a grave if Yellowstone erupts, and the ground has risen 10 feet in the last 10 years. So it's getting ready to pop. That's just one reason of many. We've got Apophis out there. Apophis is a gigantic asteroid. Apophis I've been tracking. If anybody can go all the way back to 2008, since I've been posting on Facebook on my Survive Pole Shift account and even my Survive Pole Shift Twitter page, I've been posting all the earthquakes gradually increasing. I posted Apophis and a few other anomalies that are orbiting our sun. Apophis slipped through a gravitational keyhole a few years ago. So it passed between Earth and the moon. It's the size of Texas. But when it passed through, it slipped through a gravitational keyhole, which means the percentage of chance it can hit Earth on the next pass is much greater. Then we had another massive asteroid come through and slip through a gravitational keyhole. 2030, 2036 is going to be very interesting to see how we navigate these potential threats. So the point I'm making here is there's a lot of reasons why, we need to have different backups. And Major Ed Dames, former head of Project Stargate, if you look up Project Stargate, he was the CIA lead remote viewer and instructor. They used to gather intel through conscious thought and bring it back to to operatives and people who needed to have the intel to do whatever they needed to do with it. But he also talked about, and I took classes with him. That's why I brought him up. I took 2 classes with him, 36 hours of teaching total. But his thing was, picking the right location. And sometimes you think you got the right spot, but you might need to pivot and have another spot. So now I'm looking at another spot outside of the United States to duplicate what I did there. So I have 2 locations that I can go to, depending on where I am in the world, or depending on what's happening, or what calamity or catastrophe or what war is breaking out. I have 2 spots. So the second spot I'm picking out, and I got to finesse the government, but I'm going to get it done.
Yeah, nice, man. Well, let me tell you, one of the reasons that I actually stuck around in Panama, it's wild. All right. It's wild. So there's very few natural disasters here. Mm-hmm. Hurricanes. So it's funny when you take a look at the Earth, right? The map of the Earth, Panama's really close to the equator. All the hurricanes miss Panama. There's never been a hurricane in Panama. They've had I was here for an earthquake one time, but the earthquakes are very mild. They're not like this California thing where your whole thing's just shaking and going crazy.
Yeah.
But this is definitely one of the places where those natural disasters are definitely not occurring. Now, if a meteor were to hit, I don't think anybody's going to be, unless you are underground. And you better have some water pumps, in my opinion, because probably the whole world will be underwater or under fire, because it's insane the power that those meteorites have, especially if they're big enough. But in terms of, if nothing like that were to occur, I'm okay, Panama is actually a pretty cool place. And then speaking of sun, right? A lot of people come here because it's even warmer than Miami, and year round. Not. I'm not saying warmer in the aspect of 100 degrees, here.
Hold on, sorry. Go ahead. I don't know what happened there. Yeah.
Yeah. So here it's, we kind of joke around like it's the endless summer here, right? It's forever summer. And the temperature is between 88 and 91 every year or every day, right?
Yeah.
So and the sun comes up at 6 and goes down at 6 every single day, right? So like when I go, like you and I were in Washington, D.C. in summertime, oh my gosh, I was so thrown off because, the sun didn't go down till like 9 something, right? And I'm like, I'm in bed by now because like my circadian rhythm is used to it, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I think that we're going to talk about multiple different plan Bs, but today we wanted to talk about Panama, and I threw something together, if that's okay, Billy, if you don't mind me sharing it.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Pull it up.
And we're gonna give you kind of the pros and the cons of Panama, and why I left the U.S. And mind you, for me, I left the U.S. during the Biden administration, so I didn't leave during the Trump administration, right? For me, it's like somebody said earlier, it's right wing, left wing, same bird, right? But what happened was I started my journey in 2020 before the pandemic occurred, and I started seeing that it was so cheap to live out of the US, and I had all sorts of taxable things that really, really helped for me to save and keep more money, because I was just being taxed to death in the United States. And then also my income was not going as far because, I was living in Orange County, California, which was very expensive. And then they tax you even harder there. So, the question that I want to ask everybody here, and you can drop it in the chat, in the comments, is, would you move to become wealthier? Because there is a power of what's called geo-arbitraging. And I've been teaching people how to do this since 2020, mind you. Okay, so let's get into this. Why I left the U.S. for Panama? Well, people in California, they're really starting to feel this now. It's become increasingly difficult to live in places like California or even Miami. Miami's become, even Southern Florida has become really, really expensive. I don't know if any of you are experiencing that, but some of these places where people really want to be, Texas, Miami, California, still people want to be there. It's very, very, very expensive to live there. And so, I just kind of got sick of being in California because I'm like, I'm never going to get out of this rat race, right? Aside from that, guys, gals, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. The problem is this. The problem is people are being driven apart by these narratives. I have both Democrat and Republicans in my community. And I can guarantee you, if we just all sat down, we could figure it out. We could figure it out. It's the extremes that are causing the havoc. It's the people who are racist. It's the people that are too open about things. I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want to get, we don't want to get any strikes here. That's where this pendulum keeps swinging more and more and more, right? Each time it gets more radical, guys. Each time it gets more radical. And this is something that I was just starting to notice. And I'm like, man, I want to go to somewhere where it's less radical. But you can't sit here. I'm hearing on both sides, oh, man, this country is headed towards like a civil war. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, like, Billy, in 2007 or 6, did you hear people talking about civil war in the United States? I mean, it was unfathomable back then. You're on mute, I think, Billy.
Yeah, no, there was no civil war talks back then, and I don't believe there's going to be a civil war now. It's just a bunch of people falling for divide and conquer tactics, primarily through the dogma of the media feeding into it. Because right now, unfortunately, we're living in an algorithmic society. This society is algorithmic and it's striving and thriving off of toxicity. And that toxicity that this civilization right now within some of the bigger countries, including America, has infiltrated every aspect of our reality. And it's trying to literally become what I call a cancer, not only within the media, within social media, within the job place, but it's also now leaked into sports. It's leaked into family life at home. And so all of a sudden you see this trickle down effect of this toxicity and this trolling and this dark energy, and it's manifested itself and it's come down and it's spread, and only because we've allowed it to spread. We've played into the algorithm, and when the algorithm shows us something dark and negative, we then click on it and it takes us to more dark stuff. And we click on it again, and it takes us to more dark stuff. And then it's triggering a cortisol response and a hormone release in our body, and then we get addicted to that. And so we get this codependent relationship on these cortisol spikes. And like I said, it leaks even into your own household. And before you know it, you and your spouse or your girlfriend or your better half or whatever are always arguing. And the root cause may not even be within that situation. They can go all the way back to the very beginning, which is this divide and conquer toxicity, trolling type of algorithm that seems to have tried to manifest itself everywhere.
Yeah. And, so it's also, like Neville Goddard, right? Like your inside world, your outside world is a reflection of your inside world. And the algorithm is really good at showing you that, right?
Yeah.
And so like what I've been focusing on, one, I got off of X recently. I just got off. I set a timer now, and about every other day, because I use it for like crypto content, right? To see what's going on in terms of the news. I rely on it for that. But I put a 5-minute timer because I can find anything that I need to in 5 minutes, and then I can elaborate on that using Grok, right? And so I started doing that. And then on YouTube, I watch way less YouTube, and I'm looking for, what I do is I'm training the algorithm to look for things that really serve me, not are going to drag me down the demon rabbit hole of the divide and conquer.
Exactly.
And so now what's popping up, like Louise Hay stuff, Billy Carson stuff, Joe Dispenza stuff, Neville Goddard stuff, right? Guys, gals, if you click on the thing, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, the fear stuff, that will give you more, and it will leak into your subconscious, like Billy was saying. It will leak into your subconscious. I had to stop because it was getting too intense. All right. It was getting way, way, way too intense. And I'm like, man, is this really how life is? I'm like, no way, man. There's no way that this is the way life is. Like, people weren't living like this 10 years ago in this fear, So anyways, I've stopped doing that. Right. But here's the thing. There are some realities, right? And this is where I'm like, okay, one of my teachers taught me, look, if you don't like your environment or you feel uncomfortable in your environment, change your environment, right? You need to change your environment. And so one of the things that I saw, and this was before it really, it was, back in 2020, the deficit was like $25 trillion. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the Biden administration, which both Biden and Trump borrowed money, guys and gals. Don't think that this is a Republican or a Democrat thing. This is a George Bush thing. This is an Obama thing. This is a Joe Biden thing. This is a Trump thing. They're all the same. They're going to keep debasing the currency. And this is one of the things that I saw, man. $1.1 trillion this year. And this was back in July already. And they were adding like $1 trillion. I think it was like every 100 days to the deficit. I'm like, No way. This cannot end good unless somebody throws the e-brake on. And when they do, which is kind of what Trump is doing right now, it's probably not going to be real pretty here.
Mm-hmm.
But, look at this. This is what the projected amount of money that they're looking to spend every year. Like it dipped here, like in 2022, 2023, and it spiked back up in 2024. And they're projecting it's going to be $7.27 trillion deficit how much they're going to spend. And Billy, they're only taking in like $3 or $4 trillion.
Yeah.
So who pays for that?
They're spending more than, well, it's loans. It's all loans.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So you don't take in, one thing, let me just say this before I get into that. Okay, let's analyze these poly tricksters. They go to the greatest schools in the world. They get the highest level MBAs and degrees from the top schools, Yale, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, or wherever they go. They get these big time degrees, and they're supposed to be experts in business because, well, the United States is a corporation, and every state is a corporation within a corporation. They're under the umbrella. That's why they have budgets and they have this and that. It's all about running a company. There's a hierarchy. So they have all this professional training, supposedly. They've gone to the best and greatest schools. They've got all this knowledge on how to run a business, supposedly. And then as soon as they start to run the business of the United States, it's in debt. What was the number again?
Yeah, well, that was just within 90 days, or 180 days.
Trillions of dollars in debt.
4 trillion.
Yeah, $1.4 trillion in debt. Let me ask you a question, Gven, because this is the point I'm trying to make. We both have our own companies, right? If we ran our companies the way the United States is running this company called the United States, would we be in business right now?
No, we'd be bankrupt and homeless. We'd be bankrupt and homeless.
If we used the tactics that they use to run this country, would we be in prison right now?
We would be in jail in El Salvador.
Yes, we'd be exported for a low cost.
Yeah.
And so the point I'm making is you can't believe in these poly tricksters. I don't care who they are. Do they make some good decisions and do some good things here and there? Yes. I'm not going to throw away the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
But overall, don't put your faith in outside sources. Put your faith in yourself. Make your own decisions for yourself. Become your own man or your own woman. Learn how to be truly independent of the system. Find ways to create passive income. Find ways to create plan B, C, D, E, F, whatever it is. Start relying on your own intuition and your own self, and stop putting on your trust and faith on the outside. Because once you take your faith and trust and give it away to an outside source, they're going to take that energy and they're going to devour it, and they're going to turn your energy into money for themselves and leave you high and dry. But when you can take your energy and sustain it within and harness your own energy, you can then become one of the most creative, most successful people and one of the best people at manifesting abundance into your life. If you harness your own energy and realize it's up to the decisions that you actually make, not the decisions that they make for you. And when you start doing that, your life is going to change completely.
Have you ever read the White Book, Ramtha?
Never heard that one. That's a book. That's rare that I don't know a book, but that one I don't know.
Bro.
I'm going to write it down right now.
Bro. A buddy of mine, Nick Manell, he turned me on to it yesterday. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take a field trip here. We're going to take a field trip. So Ramtha, if by the way, if you're in the audience and you've read this book, let me know. So this is some very, very big thought leaders. I don't want to say their names here because even my buddy said, please don't say anything like this out. So Ramtha talks about even how the Christ ascended, right? But essentially he's an entity, kind of like Esther Hicks.
Okay.
But he was from Atlantis,
Mm.
but he was one of the poor people
Mm.
from Atlantis.
Wow.
Which is where we're kind of headed right now with like AI and all this stuff. We're going to talk about that next week, by the way, everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the gap between the middle class and the upper class became so wide that the Atlanteans had all this technology, and they had essentially, it was the power. It wasn't wealth, it was power back then, right? And what ended up happening was his mother was raped. Oh shit! Sorry. Had something done very bad.
Try to edit it.
Yeah, we got to edit that. Shoot.
Yeah.
Had something very bad done. All right.
Yeah.
And she ended up unliving. Okay. By these Atlanteans. And at the end of the day, he rose up to be this conqueror. Mm-hmm. But it talks about the Great Flood. And at the end, he transcended because he was mortally wounded. He went up to this. I'm still reading it. I'm just in the beginning, but I'm glued to it. He ended up transcending because he was mortally wounded. Okay, and he went to the top of a mountain, and what ended up happening was while he was up there, he stopped thinking like a barbarian conqueror and started thinking like the wind. And about the unknown God. It was really interesting. The unknown God.
Wow.
And essentially, what the part that I'm in is he became the wind, and then he started teaching people these things, right? Probably very close to like Thoth and even Jesus in some aspects. Buddhists have learned this with Qigong and stuff like that. But anyways, he's now transcended. He's 3,500 years old, but his body did not die. He ascended from here. And this was before and after the floods. He saw the floods. He was taken to the top of the mountaintop to be spared from the flood. So there's some really, really cool things. But anyways, you got to read that book, bro. You got to
listen. I just bought it. I literally just bought it on Amazon while you were talking. I bought the book. I got the book coming. It was only $21.99.
Yeah.
I like the physical books. I really don't do too many audio. You gave me an audio. I'm listening to that one, but I don't do a lot of audio books. I like the physical books.
There's no audio for it. I had to buy the book too.
There's a Kindle, not an audio. Yeah, there's a Kindle. Well, that hurts my eyes, but I got the physical book on the way.
Oh man, I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait. You got to tell me what you think about it.
Yeah, check it out. Sounds like an incredible story. And really it's so real that when we're talking about Atlantis, and then there'll be poor people in Atlantis right now. We are living in Atlantis pretty much. Not everyone, but the majority of the people. Earth is really Atlantis still. But there are sections and so forth that, of course, as you know, there are poor people and people that are struggling where they don't have to struggle. They're not struggling because they want to. It's because they're being oppressed. And it's amazing that you tell me that story is in here, because this is something that I totally believe in. And I can't wait to have this AI talk next week about this topic so we can really break it down and figure out how can we thwart this this downturn of economics for people who still have bills to pay but no jobs. So it's going to be interesting.
I have some solutions. Some of them are draconian that I'm investigating, not that I'm coming up with. Some of them are draconian. And yeah, there's some people asking about the books called the White Book, Ramtha. But some of these things are draconian, but they're so aligned with this story that, again, if I threw out the names, you would you even know these people. You personally know these people. If I threw out the names, you would know who they were personally. So anyways, we're kind of headed towards that society, towards that sort of society, unless we learn, which, Ramtha talks about how he's seen all realities, right? And I think that we have the opportunity to make it beautiful, to really have a golden age.
Yeah.
All right. To really have a golden age. But guys, gals, it's how we manipulate the matrix. If you keep clicking on all that dividing content, if you keep searching for it, guess what? It's going to come. It's going to come to you in intense, and it's going to keep getting more and more and more and more intense. I just don't pay attention to that stuff, guys. Yeah. I don't think you do either, Billy, because when I see you talking, I mean, you're caught up on news events and stuff like that, but it's not like your life. You're more interested in solutions.
Yeah, I'm looking for solutions to the problems. I have the same thing that, I have the same ritual that you have. I only spend a limited amount of time looking through news clips and things like that. I try not to click on too many of them. I try to see if I can get as much information as I can without actually tapping on them, because I don't want to create the algorithm for that. If I see interested subject line, sometimes then I'll leave that and go to Google, or I'll go to ChatGPT for some more information about the topic so that it's not on my feeds. And I used to do a page for police brutality, and police brutality and fights literally dominated my feeds for about almost a year, and it got me so sick and depressed. So I ended up stopping. I still have the page, but I haven't posted in a couple of years now, just because I just got tired of the amount of negativity that I was experiencing every single day, the trauma of witnessing those beatings by cops on people. And of course, my dad, my father died at the hands of cops. Oh, so wow. It just kept bringing up the scenario in my mind over and over again, and so I stopped doing it for that reason.
Wow. Well, yeah. That's definitely a good reason to stop doing it. Yeah. Definitely a good reason. Well, let's get back here, because I don't want to waste everybody's time and your time, Billy. I know you've been grinding it out these days. So, yeah. Look, before I moved to Panama, like I told you guys, I lived in multiple different places. I lived in Denver. I was doing Wim Hof method, doing the cold therapy. That's me on the rooftop doing like some qigong in Denver. I loved it. My shirt off. It was snowing. It was so cool. No, by the way, this was the view. Check this out. This was the view, Billy, of my apartment. I got a how you do the fast thing, the speed. This was the cathedral that you would see, and it was like when it was through the window, it would it looked this big, but I got kind of up close to the window, and we had the parliament here. We had museums. We had this church here. We had some castles over here. It was amazing. Yeah. Here's Costa Rica. I used to live in Costa Rica. I lived by a volcano. You've heard of Arenal, or the volcano over there where the first confirmed UFO sighting was?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just did a whole podcast about it about 3 months ago with James Fox.
Oh, nice. All right. So I lived right there. Okay. I lived, and I would ask people, and it was funny because like I was a follower of yours at that time, and just like, oh man, Billy and his alien stuff and all this stuff. I was always watching it. And we didn't know each other back then, but I was like, oh man, I wonder if Billy, I'm sure obviously you knew about it, but I was like, I wonder if Billy Carson knows about this place. But I like interviewed a lot of the locals, and I told them, I said, hey, do you see these alien craft here? 100% of the people that I talked to said, yes, I have seen UFOs here. Yes, I have seen, some of them said that they had actually even seen aliens. I was like, what? It was funny. Sometimes I would go out because you could see the whole Milky Way at certain points of the night if there was no full moon. Yeah. And I was sitting there going like, I would come outside like at 4 o'clock in the morning. We had no TV in this place. There was no living room. It was just a bed and a nice outside, right? You can see this was the view that we had. It was a beautiful view, but we had no neighbors. It got real boring too. All right. Our closest neighbor was the monkey in the tree, and I'm not even kidding you. All right. But I'm sitting there. I would come out at night at like 4 o'clock in the morning to see if I could see an alien or, you know, something, but I never got one. I never got to see one, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Yeah. And then, you know, I ended up in Panama, which is where I'm at now. And the cost of living here, which we'll get into here, is just so good. Now, you know, I'm all about safety. All right. And this to me is a big deal. Like, here we've got like green countries. The greener it is, the safer it is. Okay. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to be like oppressed by the government. That's a whole other thing. But in terms of safety, you know, theft, unalivings, things like that, Panama and Costa Rica, and coincidentally Cuba, because they don't have any way to defend themselves or anything like that. They're just very poor. Nobody's going to steal anything from anybody because they all have the same. So, but they're the safest countries in all of Latin America. All right. And this, to me, this was a big determining factor as what I wanted to do. But you can take a look here, all the way down here at the bottom at number 89 is the United States. And all of these name brand countries, you can take a look. All right. Italy is way lower. Australia, number 82. Ireland, number 83. New Zealand, 86. United Kingdom, 87. I was blown away when I saw how far down the United States had come. And it's funny because, like, you know, Panamanians here, they talk about, again, I gotta watch out what I say. So they talk about things that go on in the United States on a daily basis that are very scary, even to those people that are living in the United States, that I have a little bit of like fear around. And I'm just like, man, this is, it's a scary place to be right now. Let's just say that. This was a big determining factor for me to be living here. And you can see here, you know, Panama is green. There's a couple of other factors, you know. Let's take a look at, their inflation rate. Look at this inflation, Billy. 2022, when it was 8% in the United States, it was only 2.86% here in Panama. And then 2021, 1.63%. And in 2020, it was negative 1.5%. So the cost of living was actually coming down. All right. 2019 was negative 3.36% inflation.
Wow.
That's what we want to do. We want, because there's so many people. And as you, let's say if so many people are like, well, I should get a raise. Okay. Yeah. If you want like obligatory raises, that's going to cause all sorts of issues. You got to balance this thing out, because a rising tide lifts all boats, right, Billy? Like you see people coming up with, oh man, as a business owner, oh man, we got to have higher minimum wage. And I'm all for people making more money. But if you do a higher minimum wage, when you go to Target, you lift the minimum wage by 10%, guess what your goods are going to go up by?
15%.
15%. And by the way, guys and gals, your minimum wage has gone up exponentially over the last 10, 15 years. Has your situation gotten any better? Has life gotten easier for you? I want to see this in the chat, because I don't think so.
Yeah.
All right. Here's just some of the statistics. This is from Latino Metrics. They have some really, really good stuff about Latin America. But you can see Panama, when it comes to homicides, very low compared to the rest of, you know, Latin America. The one that's really come down a lot has been El Salvador, because they locked away a lot of their criminals, a lot of the gang members, and it's actually considered. I think it's been considered the safest country on the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, it is. I just watched the entire documentary on it 2 nights ago.
Oh wow, yeah. I actually want to go to El Salvador. We should plan a trip there, Billy. Let's plan a trip together. Let's plan a trip.
Yep.
Cost of living, you can see here, is way less than the United States. So not only are you getting a higher cost of living, so like guys, gals, I'm not lying. For $2,000 a month, you could have a 2-bedroom, 1,800 to 2,000 square foot apartment with a full-blown 180-degree ocean view. That's what I had. In a top A building with the best gym, infinity pool on the 12th floor. I mean, you name it. And living like you live at a resort all day long with restaurants in your building and everything for $2,000 a month.
Yeah, I believe it because I just, booked some of the what do you call that? The rooms that I'm getting. It's based on crypto,
hotel.
right? Huh?
Yeah. It's
tokenized.
A Pardo hotel.
Yeah. Okay. So some tokenized real estate. Gven sent me some images, and I had to get a hotel room there, and I'm looking at this building, and it's incredible. And then I'm thinking like this is really nice. And you send me the price, and I'm like, this is like almost for free.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't believe it. I was like,
in the nicest part of town.
Yeah.
And wait till you see the pool, Billy. It's on the 38th floor, overlooking the city and the ocean.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
And by the way, for those of you that are like, well, how am I supposed to? I'm a nurse. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a whatever customer service person. Look, wait. There's options here. All right, but look at this. The cost of living in the United States is 83% more expensive than in Panama. You can see the food, all this stuff. By the way, for those of you who are like, oh, you're not going to get all the amenities. They've got organic food. They have Amazon. They have the best dining, in my opinion, in all of Latin America is in Panama. The internet is fast, middle of the road. I mean, I have a 1 terabyte or whatever. I get the fastest one. I have fiber, right? In both my office and my home. It's right there in the middle of the road. We're not too far away from the United States when it comes to it. And they're building infrastructure for this faster because they don't have this bureaucracy clogging everything up, right? The air quality here in Panama, 03, very oxygenated here.
That's good.
Yeah. You can see here when I was, I love Dubai. I'm not going to lie. I love Dubai. But when I went to Dubai, Billy, and I'm sure you noticed this, and you're sitting like, and then where the wind sail 7-star, only 7-star hotel is, and you look across the street or across the bay to the Burj Khalifa, and you go, is that smog or am I breathing that right now? Oh, no, that's dust from the desert.
Yeah, no, it's smog and dust together. It's a bad combination. It sticks to the inside of your lungs, and percentage of that stays in the lung long term. So I would go there to visit, but I don't think I'd ever live in Dubai.
Dude, I had a cough that lasted me a month, and I love Dubai. But next time I go to Dubai, and I'm not a face masker, I'm going to put a face mask on when I'm outside because I'm like, I don't want to get that horrible cough.
Yes,
I don't want to get that horrible cough again. So air quality is a big deal, guys. Look up your air quality in your city, right? Like I want people to start. No, people don't do that. When I saw this, I was like, oh man, I made the right choice. You can see here that top corruption. Panama has done really well at keeping out of the red in terms of corruption. It's done very, very well. They're cleaning up the city. I'm going to show you here in a little bit. And their exports to the U.S. is huge. So there's a reliance between the U.S. and Panama as well. Huge one, despite what you read in the newspaper, right? The growth that we had is second to Paraguay, which look, Paraguay has a lot of good things, but I would not want to live in Paraguay. I would live in Uruguay, but I wouldn't live in Paraguay. Panama, though, right up there. Look at the growth that it's had in its service economy. This thing is a mover and shaker right now. This is the place to be. All right. Now you can also see that the rent prices are going up, which is, Billy, I don't know if you remember, I went in 2010 to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I went in 2010 to Miami when the prices were like Panama right now for all those nice skyscrapers that you see there.
Yeah.
Dude, you were getting things like 300 grand, 400 grand that have now 10x'd.
Yep. That's a fact.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what's going on in Panama right now because people are like, man, I like it. It's sunny. It's safe. It's a progressive economy. And lots of big companies here. You'll see when you come.
Yeah.
But the prices are going up. So there's an opportunity for real estate here as well. Okay. And so there's some really cool things. If you need banking, it's super easy. And if you're a crypto person, I can get you set up with a crypto bank in 5 seconds. Business or personal. Business or personal. It's really cool. What they want to do, the rules that they're pushing for crypto is even better than what the United States is talking about. All right, even better. They just said that they're accepting. They just said that they're accepting crypto for taxes and fines and things that you need to pay inside the city. They're taking ETH, BTC, USDC, and USDT. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And aside from that, Panama is the number one country for expats to move to in Central and South America. So this is pretty cool. Now, here's some of the cons, and I'm getting to the end of this, so hang in there with me. The trash is horrible. All right. The cool thing is, so I've been here now 3 years. The cool thing is they said that they're going to clean it up and they're cleaning it up. It's really amazing. They're setting up because a lot of people, unfortunately, they throw their trash into the river. It flows to the oceans. They're now doing beach cleanups every single week. They used to do them like every 6 months and it would do nothing. They're doing it now every single week. And what they're doing is they're allowing for private companies to come and do this because they're building on these coastlines as well. And they're moving at light speed. So it's really cool. I'll show you when you come here. Somebody asked about healthcare. People come here for healthcare tourism. They have very good doctors. They have, if you need health insurance, it's way cheaper than the health insurance where you're at. The hospitals here, my daughter was born in a beautiful state-of-the-art hospital. All right. And it wasn't like, it was actually meant to feel like a home birth. They had you could do water home births there now too. It's pretty cool. They're very, very progressive with these things. Now here's the mayor talking about one guy who said, hey, I've never seen anything like this in my life. When I first came to Panama, I was shocked by all the trash washing up on the shore and floating up in the rivers. And the mayor ended up responding. His name is Mayor, coincidentally. But for decades, people have been organizing beach cleanups with no true impact on the root of the problems. The city will soon implement a system that will stop trash from flowing from rivers to the shore, as well as thoroughly cleaning up the existing trash on the shorelines. So these people, they're making stuff happen. I'm telling you, I'm seeing it in real time, which I love, because every place has their things, right, Billy?
You have to do it at the root. This is the same thing I see when I go to Egypt. Egypt has a lot of waste, a lot of trash. People just drop everything on the street. That's what they've been taught, and they see it as culturally okay. And so it goes down. You have to go to the root. Two things you have to do. You have to teach people, and it sounds weird, but you have to teach people how to not litter. But then you also have to implement huge, lofty fines for littering. And the combination of those two things together will knock it out within maybe 2 years.
Yep. Exactly. So somebody said here, who was it? The cost of living is lower. Your USD goes farther. Well, the cool thing is, this is abundance. The cool thing is that, where is this? Where is it? Oh no, here. This was a design. All right. The cost of living is lower. Your USD goes further. The cool thing is it's actually USD that you spend here. You don't spend, Panamanian dollars. It's dollars. It's a dollarized economy. And despite the fact that we've had inflation in the US, there hasn't been inflation in Panama, which is really cool. So now the other thing here, and then we'll move on to some of the positives, and then we'll end it, is the traffic. But everywhere, there's traffic everywhere, Billy. Even in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, it's bad. It's bad. The good and bad thing is these people don't put up with anything. Like in the US, we have a protest and it's done in like one day. These people will shut the city down for 30 days until progress is made, which is good, in my opinion. But there can be protests, and usually it's like every couple of years they'll have a battle with the government. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, the positive side of Panama will blow your mind. And the coolest thing about it is, we have places like Casco Viejo. It's like this old Spanish town. Have you ever been, Billy?
No.
Okay, well, you're gonna go. This is one of my favorite places to go to. You have San Blas Islands, which are these islands that are like they're like the Tahiti and all that stuff. It's really cool. Maybe we'll even go. Maybe we'll even go do a day trip there. We can do day trips there, by the way. They bring you lobster, coconuts. It's really cool. It's really cool. Nice. For those of you that don't like the heat and humidity, you can see right here, there's a place called Boquete, very safe, drier. They call it the Endless Spring. It's very beautiful. It's where the majority of the food comes from. 80% of the food that we eat in Panama comes from Panama. So if there is a food shortage in the rest of the world, this is the place to be, because you're going to be fed. All right. And then the commerce here is second to none. It's the commerce. So how to make this all possible? See, people need to start thinking, and you brought this up earlier, right, Billy, about remote jobs, AI, using AI to your advantage, thinking outside of their comfort zone, because there's so many things that you can do with the internet now. I mean, think about it. Like, Billy, how has it changed your business?
Oh, I mean, significantly. I mean, right now I would probably need about 5 more full-time employees, which would take my team above the red line. So in terms of burn rate, it would take me above the red line. So I'd definitely, bottom line, I would have a burn rate. So I would, if I take away those tools, then all of a sudden I could be down another maybe 25,000 a month, in salaries. So it's just, I mean, you just multiply that by a year, you see how much money you're saving. I mean, the most that I'm spending on those tools probably would be maybe $1,100 total combined a month. So that's a significant savings, obviously. So, but again, this is why we got to talk next week. I mean, it's helping us, get out of the red in terms of burn rate on a monthly basis. But at the same time, those are 5 more jobs that somebody doesn't have. But if we have those people doing those jobs, then the company can't progress. It's a catch-22 situation. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely something to look at.
Well, we're gonna talk about some options that people could have for remote jobs that they can do using AI. I think AI is going to be a great thing, but we have to find solutions, and we're finding solutions, in my opinion. You can see here what these salaries are paying: 67 grand, 53 grand, 63 grand, and you're not grinding like crazy, right? Yeah. Especially with AI now. You could be making this sort of money working 2 hours a day, right? Art director making 97 grand, an accountant making 73, a financial analyst making 83,000. There's all sorts of things. Lawyers, you can be doing this remotely. Doctors, you could be doing remote stuff, right? Anyways, so here's, by the way, guys, real quick, we had a class last Saturday where we showed people how you can make money using crypto, how to be decentralized. If you want to get access to that class for free, we're giving it to people away for free today. You got to sign up before. There's going to be a link in the description below. So check it out, and you can see it. Matt Arc Support just put it there, a link to it. If you want to get access to it, if you want to learn something new of how you can put your money to work for you, hit that up. And Billy's been working with us on this project for a long time. He's done well. We'd love to see you guys check it out. I think you'll really, really enjoy that class. That was a killer class, by the way, Billy. We had I think over 300 people who have watched it. So yeah, it's pretty killer. Now let's get back to this. The cost of living, you can see here from 2010 to 2012, we paid $600 per month in this fully furnished 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. But now in 2023, they ended up paying $750. So it hasn't gone up by that much. And look at this. This is beautiful, man. This is Boquete, by the way. What do you think about this, Billy? I mean, that's $750.
Yeah,
you're going to find anything like that in the United States?
Yeah, no, that'd be probably $1,400 a night or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh man. And you can see what this person paid. This is in 2023. They paid a total of $1,945 right here per month. And they had medical insurance, they had transportation, internet, utility, you name it. They had all the conveniences of at home there. So listen, guys, gals, if you're interested in relocating, we're going to put a form in the chat. All right. We're going to put a form in the chat for you all to fill out. Billy and I are working on something, and let us know in the chat if you're interested in this, because we want to get an idea. We've been doing a lot of research on this, and it looks like there's a lot of people that have been either moved out of the United States that are expats or looking to move. They're just kind of done. It's gotten too expensive. The political climate has gotten too hot. Here we got some people piling in. Look at Austin. Austin is down. All right, Austin. Austin's the only one. Lil Namek is still thinking. Well, we have some more people commenting. I feel it. But anyways, we want to see who's interested out there, and if this is something that that people realistically are willing to do. I've done it. Billy's now talking about it.
I'll be there in a few weeks.
Yeah, Billy's gonna be here in a few weeks, so he ain't joking around.
No.
Oz is. Hey Oz, how you doing? We saw Oz on my channel earlier. We got deep with Oz and everybody there. Final form is all right. Cool. We have some people here. I want
to add one thing too, Gven. The reason why I'm coming down there to Panama and looking around is because it's only 1 hour behind Florida in terms of the daylight time. So like for right now, it's 9:20 p.m. Eastern, but there it's 8:20 p.m. right Eastern, 8:20 p.m. Central. Is that correct? Okay, so I can work on, if I'm there hanging out for a few months, I can always work on the timeline that I'm already on, the schedule that I'm already working. I don't have to wake up and be up for American hours. It's already on American hours.
Yep, that's the best part, man.
And it's only 3 hours away from Miami.
Yeah, 3 hour flight from Miami. I think it's like 6 hours from LA. It's an easy flight. You can go direct. You don't have to transfer anywhere. It's a beautiful airport. You'll see when you get there. It's a gorgeous airport. Rivals Miami. They just redid the whole thing. It looks really, really beautiful. And I think that people are going to be pleasantly surprised when they come here. I mean, this is the most progressive country in all of Latin America. And I think that people are really going to be pumped. And for the reasons that you said, Billy, you said the hours. I used to live in the country of Georgia. Dude, I was working 24 hours because it was a 12-hour difference, right? I would get all the work that everybody would send me, and then I would have to be on the YouTubes and meetings and all, I lived a pretty good life, but it was pretty intense. It was pretty intense to be that. And there's some great things, you got Vietnam, you got Malaysia, you have Singapore is amazing. It's very expensive though. But all in all, I think this really aligns with people in the United States, and it's the easiest step to take as an American. And I can tell you, because I lived in Spain, I've gone to Italy, I've lived in, again, Russia. I've even lived in, right? I mean, I've lived everywhere.
You've been everywhere, man.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of, so look, Jay Poole says, I'm moving from LA. Come down here, Jay. Spend a week down here and tell me you don't like it. Tell me you don't like it. Anyways, Billy, next week, we're going to talk about AI.
AI. We're going to go in deep on AI, good and bad. We're going to give them everything we got on AI, man. It's going to be a great, great show next week. So make sure you guys tune in. Make sure you write down my cell phone number. Text me so I can text you when we go live. 888-609-3975. 888-609-3975. Text me. And drop this in the comments right now. And you'll be in there so I can hit you back. And guys, don't forget, go to the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on your app store. Just for your iPhone, Android phone, Samsung TV, Roku, Apple TV. Go get that Forbidden Knowledge TV app. There's a lot of free content on the app, and there's also subscription-based content. A lot of stuff you'll never see on YouTube because, as you know, we were suspended on this account for 2 weeks. That's why I was going live on the Billy Carson official account for the last couple of weeks. We even did one of our podcasts over there with Gven. So we have to watch what you say. You can't say this, you can't say that. So, we have our own platform. And on our platform, on my platform, there's nobody going to stop me from saying what the hell I want to say. So make sure you guys get the app. And again, the link has been dropped by Matt from the ARC support in the live chat. Click that link if you're interested in finding out more about relocating. It could be a great decision for you. I mean, it's all about solutions. We try to provide people with every different potential opportunity they can to become better, to thrive more, to attract abundance. And so this is just one of them. I'm going down there to take a look. I'll be down there in a couple of weeks hanging out with Gven. You'll see some lives and some video. We'll probably do a podcast together down there, right, Gven?
Dude, we're building our new podcast studio, and I think somebody's over there working at my office right now because they know Billy Carson's coming. I'm like, you guys better have this done. Billy's coming.
Well, we'll do one together. It'll be great, man. All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate you guys. We love you. This has been another episode of Conscious Finance. Check out that link. Click the link in the comments. Click the link in the live chat, and don't forget to like and share the video. Peace.
And Billy, one last thing, if they can hit my YouTube up, I'm trying to grow the DeFi side. If you guys can hit my YouTube, it's just my name, Gven Sariol, Gven Sariol. I'm the only one out there.
Yeah,
all right.
Gven Sariol YouTube. I'm dropping it in the live chat right now. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. Catch y'all later. Peace.